Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we're going to fix the oil leak. Stay tuned. Alright, we have some cleaning up to do. So all the coolant is out. So now, yeah, we'll clean up the area, get the oil cooler off, and yeah, we'll replace the seals and that, and we'll put it all back together. Hopefully, we're all good. So I need to put oil, power steering and coolant back in before I start it. Alright, so sorry about the birds. We need to get this hose off now. That's feeling soft. That's not right. It's still cooling in that. You can see I'll push on that and it popped out here. So I'm just gonna go this way to have a look from that way, see if I've actually got that hose, because it looks like it's kind of kinked. I don't know, maybe they haven't put it on properly. Maybe this whole housing needs to rotate. So I ordered these parts off a diagram, exploded diagram, where I got these hoses, this hose, and this is the hose that came from Subaru. That is the wrong size. Somebody's been down here and it's done something. Well, yeah, like I said last episode, we got a bolt missing over here, so something has happened here before. So let's get that pan back, the oil pan. I'll cut this because that's not the right one. It's swollen up, maybe because of all the oil on it. But yeah, that's the one that's supposed to be on it. It's the part number, if you can see it. Alright, so I've got this hose off, which is down here. How swollen that is. I put all the other clamps onto the new one, and yeah, just a little different. I don't think that was the correct one. Maybe off a different model. So yeah, unless it's swollen that much, but I don't see why. Alright, so we need to undo this nut here, and then this section should drop down. Alright, so because I've done this before, I've got a deep 24 socket, a normal 24. It does reach onto it, but it doesn't seat all the way down, so she's the deep one. As you can tell, it's loose, so I'm gonna have to put the camera down, but we'll get that off. Okay, we got it off. Okay, so it's the whole thing. I thought that was a nut on that. But here is one of the seals that we're going to be replacing. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was there, but we got a little tab here as well for location. So that goes out onto this part, I believe. This is probably the only time that I could potentially be mixing coolant is oil, so just gotta be careful. Alright, so I'm gonna clean up this first and put a new seal in it, and then we'll move up to that housing, because it does look like there's stuff above that. Alright, just clean up this, and it definitely looks like it's been off before. I didn't do that because my socket was all the way down. So yeah, like I said before, they probably used a shallow one, because that's where my shallow one went to. My deep socket went all the way to the bottom. Alright, just got the hose off there. Just gonna get this seal out. I'm gonna clean up everything. So yeah, coolant in here, out of there. Everything else is oil. So we should be right to clean it up. Alright, that's all cleaned up. I just put the hoses back on just to protect it. Oh, it should be good now. Anyway, we'll get up here and clean up this housing. Alright, we've got some 10mm to undo. Okay, so there's the next part of the housing. As you can tell, we've got crud all up in there. So it is actually quite a small area, so maybe we are getting some leakage. I'll clean that up. Hopefully I got that seal. And we'll clean up the area. There's the seal and the O-ring. That number if you need it. Also, when I just took that seal back in, I did see this other seal, which is there. So I'm gonna place that one too. The part number for that. It's pretty easy to look up anyways. There's the part number. Alright, clean up that housing. Pop the O-ring out. Goes there. Got the new one. I'll chuck that in. Alright, so just put the other one in there. Got two. It said it required two, so I'm not sure about that. Alright, so that O-ring fell out. So we're going to put this new one back in, which is up there. Clean up a bit, wipe down a bit. Haven't done this side yet, but we'll get that assembly back on. Alright, got the O-ring in there, sitting there nice and plump. Alright, assembly's back on. We'll get the oil cooler section back on, and that center bolt. Ooh, alright, that is back on. Time to get the hoses back on, or the new ones on. Alright, the hoses are on. Looking good. I'm going to put the oil filter on now, new one. And we'll start to clean up the other side a little bit. And we'll start reassembling the exhaust and heat shields and all that fun stuff. Woo! Actually, I was going to put the filter on. I'll put some oil on it. But decided not to because it might make it easier to get the exhaust back on if I didn't have this on. We'll come back to that. Alright guys, so I ended up pulling the manifold apart because this as one unit, it's freaking heavy and it's hard to maneuver up past that up pipe. So we're going to do this bit first. Get it in there. Yeah. Alright, finally got the exhaust back on and all done up. And we need to put the heat shields on, put the O2 sensor back in, and put the oil filter on. That was hard. This section is so hard to get it past the up pipe. It'd be a lot easier if I had a aftermarket up pipe. Alright, heat shields are back on, O2 sensor back in. Let's put the filter on. Alright, filter's on. Let's chuck some oil in it. So guys, clearly there's been some work done before down there. There's a bolt missing. I don't think that was the right hose that was on there. Maybe it was just swollen. The bolt that holds the oil cooler was a bit chewed up. I might run this for a little bit and then drop the oil again. I can get oil from work. I'll just get another filter. So we better not be leaking. Got all new seals in there, new filter. So what we got? 4 new seals. Just checking the oil level. We are spot on. Full. Alright. Yeah, the front's jacked up. So here we go. Alright. Cool. I gotta find some power steering to fit, well, transmission fluid, power steering fluid to put in there. Keep my fluids in this corner, and AMG coolant too. We have completely drained the coolant system. Cool. Alright, got my auto trans fluid or power steering. Same. So I'll fill that up. Alright, all is good. I've done it many times, but I think this is the first time I've actually swapped a power steering. I've done the lines and stuff, but this is the first time I'm actually swapping power steering rack. So fingers crossed it doesn't leak. I really don't want to be pulling it off again. Yeah, that was a leaky boy there. So got some fluid in there. I'm not going to start the car up. I haven't got coolant in it yet, but I am going to turn the wheel, so hopefully we'll get some power steering fluid going through it. Right, so I've gone left to right a few times and it sucked some of it down without the car on. Hear it going through. So we'll keep filling it up and we'll do coolant. I think I'll go a little bit of green. Alright guys, power steering is done for now. Let's put some coolant in. Alright, getting coolant in. So with this I had probably up to the start of the label for the concentrate. I poured that in and then I filled it up. It's about here. So that's what the dribbles that was in the bottom. It's made of green. So I'll go get some more tomorrow and we'll continue to fill it up. Alright guys, I've done as much as I want to do with the coolant. We need to get some more, so we'll come back tomorrow. Alright guys, I'm back. Picked up another coolant and another filter. So we will be doing an oil change in a couple of weeks. And we'll do spark plugs and the valve cover gaskets. Really just want to get this roadworthy done. And then we'll clean up more, make it nice and neat. But I'm going to add some more coolant and clean up this little cross brace here. And then I'll got to duck out for a few minutes and we'll come back when the little one's in bed. So I just realized that the bucket actually seals in there quite well, so we shouldn't need any other equipment fittings for it. So we've got the one that goes to the radiator, and then we've got the overflow, which is not part of the system now because I've bypassed it. So just going to chuck some straight coolant in there. This one's got some water in it. We'll fill her up. Alright, that is cleaned up. A couple of spare nuts under there. And I realised that they're actually from the tie rod ends. Not from the tie rod ends, from the end links. So it's alright because we've got the white line ones in there. Coolant is bubbling away up here. I'm going to head out for a little bit, come back, and be ready for a first start. And we'll check the power steering. So it's been nearly 24 hours. Had no leaks of any liquids, which is great. But yeah, we'll come back, we'll start her up and see if we do have any leaks once everything builds up some pressure. Alright guys, I'm back. It's gone down a little bit with the coolant. But as I was just walking out here, I remembered that one of my brake lights is out. So got some globes in the center console, so I'll see if they work, and we'll quickly do that. I think it's just a few bolts. Well, yeah, that's not going to work. Right, parkers are on. This one's out. Let's pop this off. Somebody's been here before. Didn't put the grommet back in. This top one that I need to replace. Hopefully I got the right globe. Oh yeah, that's dead. I don't know if you can see it. Probably not. So got 2 spare ones, which is great. Super cheap one in. Alright, parker is on. Turn that off. I'm going to put my foot on the brake. I should be able to see it from up there. Yep. Alright guys, I'm to the point of starting the car up. So I've got that brace back on there. That's where I jack it up normally. So yeah, globe's done, tail light's back in. So you start it up and bleed everything. I don't know why I'm freaking out so much. Right, ready to start. Just need to do the coolant and watch the power steering, and then we'll check the oil. Get a bit of a burn off. Alright, power steering looks good. No leaking at all, which is great. So I'm going to start putting the wheels back on, and once it's burped, we'll go for a drive. Actually, my bad. I'm going to put the wheels back on, drop it down, check the oil, top it off if it needs it, do the sway bar up. Make sure the coolant's burped, and then we'll go for a drive. Alright, she's back on the ground for the first time in a few weeks. Yeah, she's burping. Right, I'll tighten up the wheel nuts, get underneath, and do the sway bar. Good thing I haven't lowered it, hey. Alright guys. Sway bar end links are done. Looks like we are burped. Put a little bit more in there. Right, coolant is done. Let's check the oil. Right, just check the oil. It's a little on the low side, so we'll add a little bit more. Alright, I'll let that sit for a little bit. And we'll come back and do it again. Just got to clean up a little bit so I can get out, and got to get Mrs. Mazda out of the driveway so I can go for a drive. I've missed this car. Alright, just moved the Mrs. car, so we are good to go. Just check the oil and it is spot on. So chuck the bonnet down and go for a quick little test drive. It's not raining, which is great. It's been raining a lot lately here in Melbourne. Get out and do a little test drive. You know your car's been in the garage for a while when you've got cobwebs. Bad news. ABS light is on. Yeah. Alright guys, I'm going to wrap this episode up. The drive went pretty well. The steering is out. The steering wheel is out, so obviously I haven't put these splines back on properly. So we're going to need a wheel alignment. It was a little bit over the road, and fix up the steering wheel. But other than that, drove pretty good. We do have the ABS light on, so we've got to figure that out. But that'll be for next episode. So guys, if you enjoyed this episode, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button, and I'll catch you next episode. Bye.